Who would have thought that I would have found my purpose in life in a place where darkness lives, in a place where violence lives, in a place where I was supposed to be in a position where you lock me up and throw away the key and forget about me. I came into this work as an organizer, just learning, just understanding that if you think about a good percentage of women inside, they will put the blame on themselves as to why they are in prison. I did that. I committed a crime. Never thinking that, hey, if you had jobs in my neighborhood, I might not have went to prison. If the school systems were better and they were taking some interest in what I was doing, I might not have went to prison. If there were better healthcare services, I might not have went to prison. But we don't think about it in that way until we quote unquote wake up. And so that's what the college program did for me. That's what organizing inside did for me, because there was no mistake that predominantly black and brown bodies was in there. What happens with women is that when women go to prison, and I'm not saying this to downgrade how society views men, but when women go to prison, you're not only locking up a woman, you're locking up a family, you're locking up a community. We become not just women that went to prison, we become bad mothers in society's eyes. We are bad daughters. We are horrible wives. There's so much that's put on a woman because of something that she may have gone through. And the trauma associated with going to prison in the first place never gets talked about. There's not enough support out there for women, and we get swept under the rug, even in the conversation of who's in prison. You can't just say, over the last 30 years, women are the fastest growing population to enter the prison system. They're going in there twice the rate as men and do nothing about it. There's no prison inside the United States that was built with women in mind. Not one. Not one. And so when we talk about even things like it was in my time of advocacy where we were talking about sanitary napkins or extra toilet paper. Anytime a man can dig in a bag of sanitary napkins and say, "Here to you," you don't even have an understanding on what that means for us as a woman. One time, I damn near had to explain how my cycle runs. You know, I was bleeding heavy. You know how embarrassing and how bad I felt explaining my cycle to a man? It's a horrible situation in that prison. You understand the trauma that was associated with me being queer inside and the men that abused me because of that? There was one officer that didn't like me because he had a girlfriend in there that did like me. And she was an officer. And I was, you can't handle her. Yeah, it was very difficult. And the further you go upstate New York, the worse it gets. So what does that mean for black and brown bodies like myself, queer person like myself, coming from New York City, going up into their neck of the woods where everything about me is wrong? How they say it these days, cancel her. It was hard for me just to get through a day, ducking and dodging. The whole environment is reliant on the prison system. There are no more factories up there, the farming is horrible, so it's the prison system. I might be dealing with an uncle on one shift and a daughter on another shift. There was nothing there for me to escape that abuse. Because if I escaped it on one shift, they would let the next shift know to F with me. I would love to say that it was, white officers that were mistreating women of color. No, it was black officers as well. And so once you put on that blue, you become a part of that fraternity, and that trumps everything. I was educating others. I had young kids talking about, we're here now, but we don't have to stay here. You can learn from this environment and make change when you go home. You can't touch me now. I did a ton of research on what it means for black and brown bodies to be enslaved in this modern day slavery environment. So I was already ready to go and become the person that I am now.